Hello everyone. Now, I do a lot of monotype Nuzlockes, but I wanted a bit of a change this week. So I figured I was going to try a new challenge in this. Basically, it's a hardcore Nuzlocke, but my monotype is my moves as opposed to the Pokemon. Rules are the usual hardcore Nuzlocke rules that I use, and they're on screen now for anyone interested, with the included factor that the only type of moves I can use are normal type. This includes setup moves and status moves also. And although some moves are technically normal type, but act as a different type, I actually chose these were a bit wrong, so I opted not to use them. I know this is a bit different, so please let me know your honest opinion on what you feel about these challenges. Do you want to see more of them, or do you not like it? It's fair play, just let me know either way. Anyway, we're on Diamond, and as my first Pokemon, I decided I wanted to use Chimchar, as I've been wanting to use an Infernape for ages, but I've just never had the chance with the runs that I've done. Once I've picked my Pokemon, I can say goodbye to my mother and begin my journey. We then speak with Rowan, and he asks us to gather data on all the Sinnoh Pokemon, but we're doing a Nuzlocke, so we actually decline. However, this man just doesn't take no for an answer, so cross our fingers behind our back and we agree to do what he says. Yeah, we'll definitely catch everything. Woo! We then have the complimentary catching tutorial, and I will give it to Dawn. She didn't want to risk taking this thing out with a crit and went straight for the ball once it was in range of being taken out by one. Smart play. After this, now I have some Pokeballs, I can then catch myself a Starly, and then on the next route I run into a Shinx and we catch that. Unfortunately though, it doesn't have Intimidate. I then decide that I want a brand new smartwatch, so I go and speak to some clowns for some coupons for one. The only thing that baffles me with this is the one you would run into second actually gives you a coupon 3. It doesn't really make sense to me why they did this. I mean, just put them in order, you know what I mean? It mildly inconveniences me and I don't like it. I then head on to the next route and I actually run into a Bidoof, which I have some pretty big plans for, so hopefully they plan out. Now that I've obtained a fishing rod, I have the task of taking half an hour to try and catch a fish. Obviously, I've got the skills of a 10-year-old when it comes to fishing, as the amount of times I missed the catch because of the speed up was ridiculous. Anyway, once I finally net a fish, it's a Magikarp, so we catch it. After this, I do have a rival battle, but honestly, PG Tips has been ground up to level 13 at this point, so we fly through it rather quickly. After this battle, I head up into the grass where I run into a Zubat. And during my journey, my PG Tips becomes a bigger monkey. I think the British guys will recognise that. You Americans probably won't. In Arbor Great, I run into and catch myself a Geodude. Then I head on to the mine where I can grab myself an Onix. Once I've done this, we can go on and speak to Rourke and actually get him to go back to his place of work and do his job so we can, begin the gym challenge. But before that, I quickly head up onto Route 207 and I catch him a Chop. Now, I've ground up Onix and Geodude as I think they're going to be key for this first gym, as normal attacks, funnily enough, don't do too much damage to rock types. I begin by getting my Onix as hard as possible to ensure they can't do major damage to him, before screeching and starting to use Rage. I use Rage as it's an attack that if I get attacked during my turn that I'm using it, it will actually up my attack stat by 1. It takes the Geodude out, and then we have the Cranidos. We do get him low, but he potions, and that means by the time we actually finish him off, we're quite low for the Onix. This means that I decide to Screech during the Onix coming out. However, it isn't doing much damage to us, so after these, I decide I just need to tackle, and we do actually take it out using just Onix. I'm really surprised I didn't need Geodude there, to be honest. I thought he was going to be quite key. Now that we've done that, we need to go save an old man who's getting a taste of his own medicine, as these galactic grunts won't leave him alone as he won't say yes to them. I then go to see the Windworks, but unfortunately the door's locked on us. It's like high school all over again. To make it up to myself, once I get some honey, I slaver it all over. A tree. Now I've got the door unlocked, I can now storm in there with my super hard snake and take on Commander Mars. Obviously, Onix is a pretty good matchup for this battle, so we get through the Zubat fairly quickly using a combo of Screech and Tackle. However, by the time we get to the Perogly, we're not on incredibly high health, so I decide to use Screeches, and then I miss a tackle. I do get it to use its berry, but I know at this point I need to switch out to Geodude. Thankfully, thanks to the Screeches that I did get off, the Geodude doesn't get damaged that much by the time I manage to take him out. I then head into the forest and I have Cheryl make me accompany them, where we actually run into a double battle. I think it's going decently as they're focusing on his Chansey up until the Beautifly comes out. Now, I'll be honest, I forgot this thing had Gust, so I think you can guess what happened here. My hopes and dreams of an Infernape have slipped through my fingers. Seems my runs just weren't supposed to be with you, my dear. After that devastation, we run into a double Baneri combo, so we get to pick between them and grab one. We do get one with Klutz though, which isn't ideal. After this, I then run into Cynthia, and I'm fine. Totally fine. No flashbacks at all. We then go and grab the Explorer Kit, and as I'm spamming through the text, I click the option that makes him feel lonely. As if I don't feel guilty enough with the death of PG Tips. I then run into and obtain a Meditite on the next route. After this, both my Shinx and my Starly evolve. With all this done, I'm now ready to take on Gardenia. Now, she starts off with Cherubi, which is a pretty weak Pokemon, and we make pretty short work of it. However, it did Leech Seed us, making us need to switch out once the Turtwig comes out. I actually choose Bulk Boy and proceed to spam Leer because I've noticed that I want his defense a bit low, and it knows Withdraw, which could kind of hinder our plans. Thing is though, I then need to switch out as I've noticed that I actually haven't put a normal type attacking move on him yet, so the berry was pointless to put on him. It was not needed whatsoever because we're not going to be using him that much. So with that, I bring Staravia back in and I do manage to take him out. Now we finally have the Roserade and we get to heal within a few quick attacks, but at this point we've been paralysed and we're on incredibly low health, so I switch into Meditite and I actually use Bite. We do almost get taken out, but not quite, meaning we can dish this damage back and take out the Roserade. Thank God for that move. I honestly think we might have struggled and maybe lost something if not. With that gym, we've unlocked Cut, so probably a good time to mention, I decided that since I'm going to have a great range of Pokemon in this challenge, I'm actually not allowed to catch HM Pokemon. For those of you who don't know, my normal type runs, I actually grab a HM slave, allowing me to progress within the games, but I thought it was a bit disingenuous to do in this run, as we are going to catch Pokemon that can use these, and it adds a little bit more strategy to what moves can we delete. We now have the first battle against Jupiter, and honestly, I was a touch scared as she is normally a decently tough battle. However, it seems there was no need to be worried by this as Twitter flies right through it all. Yeah, they did get poisoned, but that's not going to stop them. They're pretty powerful. Now, we run into Dawn, and we actually get what is the best item, I think, for this run in the Versus Seeker. After this, we go and speak to Fantina, who tells us she's ready to challenge us. However, in these games, you actually can't take her on until after you've got served, so she's blatantly lying to us. To get over these lies, me and Bugs decide to go for a walk around the area where we have to be cute to get in. I don't know how they let me in, but thankfully Bugs must have made up for the pair of us. Now that's done, I go and receive a Happiny egg from a hiker. And then on top of that, I have a surprise battle from Reginald. Honestly, it did surprise me, but he's pretty lackluster. And I've begun prep for my next gym, so Twitter flies right through all his team. They probably should have put his levels a bit up in this game, let's be honest. Now we have a nice little Congo of evolution, evolving Zubat, Baneri, and then Golbat. With that done, we began to use the money-making machine that is 2 old people. Yeah, we're taking all of your retirement fund. Every last penny. I missed the footage of Happiny hatching, but here's the evolution to make up for it. We also evolved Magikarp into the king that is Gyarados. And since he has no decent normal move, we actually go and grab Thrash for him. After doing that, Machop finally evolves into a Machoke, which means I'm prepared to take on the next gym. At this point, I've also grabbed a Sylph Scarf, which is equipped to Gyarados to up the attack of his Thrash. I spam Thrash until he gets confused, before switching out and switching back in to finish off the Machoke. Now we have Lucario. He does decent damage as we get confused, so I switch into Bulk Boy and get one hit off before being knocked into the red. Now, the majority of my team is incredibly underleveled, as the next level cap is actually the same as this gym, so I wanted to be careful. I decide to use the Intimidate of both Twitter and Birdseye. However, during this, they both get paralyzed. Yeah, we get that sort of luck. Once I feel he's intimidated enough, I switch into Hello Kitty, and he crits me, so all my Intimidates were for nothing. Why do I have this luck in these runs? All I wanted was a Luxray. Like, I have not seen any of the Pokemon from my original playthrough. It just seems if you're going to be part of that team, then you're getting taken out. Now that's done, I actually decide the best bet is to switch into Bugs, who does manage to finish the Lucario off. This gym went a lot worse than expected. Maybe next time it's worth doing the gyms the opposite way around, taking on Crasher first, but I suppose that's going to depend on the typing, of course. I head on to the next route where I run into a Girafaridge who just refuses to get in the ball. It literally only agrees on my last Pokeball. I was really worried we were going to lose an encounter because of this, but thankfully we just pulled it through. I now have the Crasher Wake battle, and I start off with Bulk Boy. Now, I expected the Gyarados to use Swagger versus me, so I equipped a Berry to solve this issue. I do switch him out and then back in just to get rid of the Intimidate, but I don't see a Swagger in all of this time, and I have no choice but to attack him. The return does knock him out because it was a crit, but honestly, my plan expected a Swagger and that upped attack. Because I equipped the Berry instead of something like the Choice Scarf, I actually have no item that's going to be upping my attack, and that's a bit grim as it means the Quagsire is not even 2 shots. It takes 3. By the time I manage to finish him off, I do actually get my defense lowered a few times, but with him gone, we do have the Floatzel to fight. I get it to the red before switching out as I'm now in range to be taken out by any of his attacks. I switch to Bugs as it uses Ice Fang and freezes us. This means Bugs is now essentially useless, so I switch into Gyarados, and he does manage to take him out because he's incredibly low, but my plan here just fell apart. I honestly thought Swagger was a given at the start, so that Berry would cure it, and then we'd one-shot the whole lot of them. Now we get to chase a Team Galactic Grunt, but for whatever reason, Reginald has to get in the way. Like, why has he done this? He can see we're chasing someone. Time is probably quite strict and dependent. We need to get out of here. Because of this, we absolutely blast past him, like, as quickly as we possibly can. That means we can get our chase, but I do run into Cynthia after this, and she gives us some medicine for some Psyducks. This doesn't make us even for what you did to my Platinum run. That's never going to be forgiven. Twitter then evolves into a Staraptor, and Scrambled into a Blissey. We then cure the Psyducks before getting asked to deliver something, and again, we're not allowed to say no. Seems to be a recurring theme in this game. We then have an old lady give us a lecture about some doodlings on a wall, but it's worth doing as she gives us surf right afterwards. Upon leaving the Doodle Cave, we actually run into some angst-ridden teenager whittering on. Like, that's the vibe he's giving me right now. Now, we're ready for the Fontina fight, but first off, I actually need to start off by finding a Ponyta and getting a burn off on the Machoke, as it will help it because it's got guts. Unfortunately, right after the burn, it doesn't let me run. Thankfully though, I survive and can switch out, but that was really close to my plan just seeping through my fingers and failing. And now with that, we have the joys of actually having to do some math. Yeah, I'm 10, I've probably not made it to that point in school yet. Don't you think this is a bit skewed to cause the young ones to take the pain? After being a complete maths genius, we can take on Fantina. I start off with Scramble to get a sing-off before switching into for days. I proceed to spam Double Team before substituting and baton passing to Bugs. It's used a lot of minimizes, but we use Foresight so we don't have to worry about it, and we can take it out. Then we have the Gengar. I decide to baton pass into Bulk Boy. This is because with its guts, it can actually two-shot the Gengar. I've also equipped a Silk Scarf to ensure a bit more damage is done. Then, after that, we have a Miss Magius, and we do finally get hit and have our sub broken, but we return the favour and take it out And even though it was a crit, it was a guaranteed KO either way, so it didn't actually matter. We then run into Cynthia, who tells us to go to a library. Do I look like a nerd to you? Well, I suppose I do spend most of my free time playing Pokemon, so I can understand the mindset. We now have another rival battle, but as always, we have nothing to worry about, as we have a full team, and to be honest, he's very underleveled for this point in the game. Obviously, we use a good chunk of our team in this fight, but never thought for a second I was risking losing it. I now decide to set sail to the Iron Islands, and I actually decide to go through it this time. Oh, so we can get the sweet, sweet Riolu egg. We then hatch that bad boy, and upon it hatching, I give him a Soothe Bell and...
Run, Forrest, run!
Once this is done, we can finally evolve him into a Lucario, who happens to be the key for the Byron fight. I start off with Scrambled and use Sing before switching into Draforage, who is cautious, so makes it tough to hit him, before setting up a Teddy so no one can touch him, and switching into Foxy Bingo. Now, I actually grabbed and equipped the Metronome item for this fight. At this point, I can now set up 3 Sword Stance to max my attack, and then I can just go ahead and spam Return, and thanks to this Metronome item, every time I use Return consecutively, I will get 10% more attack. This means we get a good boost thanks to the Steelix healing, making it easier for taking down the Bastiodon. Plus, they had no super effective moves, so they never even managed to break my sub. Upon leaving the gym, we're dragged into the library where we learn that this building is actually rather sturdy, has a big shake and it's fine, no cracks and nothing showing. I go to see the source of the boom, and after wading through some beached Magikarp, we have another dupe to fight. However, her Pokemon can't really do much to us now, and we just need to take advantage of the Metronome item and return, and the battle is won. I then have to run in and save Dawn. She has Mars cornered, but for some reason isn't battling her, so we have to do the work for her. Again though, although I opted not to use Lucario, we made such short work of these battles as her Pokemon are not great. After this, I can head into the Snowy Mountains where I run into a Sneasel. This thing did dodge like 3 Sings in a row, meaning I never managed to get to sleep and just had to take it low before spamming the balls and catching it. But at least we did get it. With that, I'm now ready for the 7th gym. We start with Blissey, who uses a Sing, and then we can switch into for days. However, might as well have just led with her, as Snova woke up instantly. I set up some double teams, but the hail damage is chipping away, so the moment my berry procs, I actually use the substitute and baton pass into Foxy Bingo. He then follows King Arthur's orders to up his attack before annihilating the rest of her team. Even the big boy that is Abominusno didn't stand a chance. I like that they changed the team up and added a Frostlass in Platinum, as this would have actually made this a bit more strategic. I'd have had to use Foresight to take it on because it's a ghost. Maybe it would have froze us in that time, so we'd have had to think of another strategy up, but who knows? Now we've done that, we can move on to the next lake where we apparently are Reginald's shoulder to cry on. Fantastic. After this, we can dry off from all the tears and head on to Galactic Headquarters where we have a battle against Cyrus. We start off with Gyarados and use Thrash until we're confused and need to switch out. Unfortunately, our next Pokemon gets flinched and confused, so we need to bring Foxy Bingo in for safety's sake. He manages to finish off the rest of Cyrus's Pokemon, but to be fair, even in Platinum, this exact fight is a joke. After this, we can move on to see the lake gods have been captured, so I decide to free them in the hopes that since they're the gods of the lake, they can use their divine powers to make me actually able to fish. We then decide to scale Mount Coronet and run into Team Galactic at the top, who summoned Dialga. For whatever reason, this guy being summoned means the whole region gets covered in strobe lighting. Something amazing for the Ravers, but it is going to be pretty grim for anyone that has epilepsy. We then have a double fight with Reginald, and I'll be honest, I messed up a touch by not healing for this battle. I begin it by doing some dances to distract them before taking out both Bronzors as they both know psychic moves. Unfortunately, I forgot the Skunk Tank had Flamethrower, which is much more scary than an extra sensory, and it knocks me incredibly low, meaning I need to switch out. I choose Girafarig as it's decently healthy Pokemon, which I don't have much of at this point thanks to me not healing, but it wasn't really needed as Ponyta put in some good work here. He also completely carried this fight in Platinum, so I should have expected it really. Well done, Reginald. Once this battle is done, we have a chat with Mesprit, but Cyrus is fuming. He was pied off by it, so he wants to fight us. However, unlike in Platinum, Cyrus is pretty much a complete joke in this battle, so we can solo him using Foxy Bingo. With thwarting Team Galactic, we can now begin to fight Dialga, and the fight starts off swimmingly with a Sing Miss and almost being taken out due to Bliss's incredibly weak defense. I then decide to switch between Gyarados and Twitter to lower his attack so Dragon Claw doesn't do much before I switch into my Machoke. Once Machoke is in, I spam Leah, but fortunately he does manage to hit me with a Roar of Time. This, funnily enough, ends Machoke's time on this planet. Moment of silence for the fallen ones, please. Once we're over that death, we send in Foxy Bingo and he carries the fight to give us the victory. The Machoke loss is quite a grim one, as although his Leas did help us out, I feel if I'd have played a bit better we wouldn't have lost him. It is a shame, but I think I misplayed a bit. We definitely probably could have got through this without losing any one of our Pokemon, and we'd have been in such a good position. We then have to go and stop the gym leader from sightseeing. Like, I hope his pay's getting docked for this, because this isn't on. Now, the optimal play for this gym would have been to sub up and then baton pass to Lucario, Swords Dance, and win with that. But I'll be honest, I didn't want to go that route, so I actually began with Giraffe Ridge, set up double teams and a substitute. But when it came to baton pass, I chose Scramble. Unfortunately, Scrambled's low attack meant that it was taking forever to get through the Pokemon, so I decided just to switch in Lucario and Sweep. It somewhat works, but we did actually get paralyzed during our setup and we're low when the Octillery comes out. I don't want to risk losing him at this point, so I switch back into Blissey and have the long, arduous process of whittling down his health. Eventually, I get bored of this, bring in Sneasel, who gets the final hit. Maybe shouldn't have taken the risk, but honestly, I just wanted to give it a shot with some others. Now that we've got access to the Razor Fang, I can finally evolve Sneasel. And before the Elite Four, I decided it's time to delete some moves and collect some heart scales in order to get everyone in a decent position for the long ride ahead. This is the team I've opted for to take on the Elite Four. I think it's pretty solid, and bringing all of them make sure I cover most avenues. And it will begin after this short Reginald battle. I start off with Blissey, who gets almost obliterated by a close combat, and on top of that misses the Sing. This means I need to switch out and I choose Birdseye. It's an incredibly strong Pokemon. We've already leveled up for the Elite Four, meaning that we can go ahead and sweep through his entire team. Even Empoleon, with its Steel type, can't stand up to us. Having his team so low leveled at this point in the game makes no sense. I honestly think they should have upped it, unless maybe they're trying to lure you in as false sense of security. Here's sort of the average team level for this point in the game, and bam, Elite Four wrecks you. We have the first fight now, and I start off with Scramble to put the Dustox to sleep before switching to Giraffe Ridge to double team away. He opts to copy us, and I baton pass into Lucario. However, at this point, I've grabbed Foresight, so I only need to use this and nullify all he's done before, allowing us to hit him. He's then set up some light screens, but he should have gone for Reflect, buddy, because now we are massacring all your compadres. Poor foolish Aaron. If only there was a bug Steel type to save you. We now have the Bertha fight, and this one actually does have a little bit of a tricky aspect to it, not helped by the fact that we missed the first two Sings as well, and he wipes us incredibly low with a dig. Anyway, after this, I make the decision to take advantage of Charm on the turns that he's like above ground, and switching into Gyarados on his attacking turns. Once I've got his attack fully lowered, I use Sing, which manages to put it to sleep. However, my luck with sleep in this is getting incredibly bad, as, you guessed it, he woke up the first turn I changed in. Anyways, I decided to just set up my double team, and after 3, I go for a sub because I notice my PP is getting low. This means I can baton it over to Lucario, who can now set up with Foresight and Swords Dance before returning all the way to the Golem. Now, Golem can't be one-shot even with the help of the Metronome boost, but he doesn't use a ground move, so it doesn't even break my sub. And since he's healed, although we have one more rock Pokemon to deal with, the Metronome has stacked up enough so we one-shot that. We now have the Fire type Elite Four member in Flint. I start off with the idea of using Charm against the Rapidash, but it's faster and it actually goes for Bounce, so that didn't work out. I then switch my Lucario in, as I think he's going to be best to take that damage, but unfortunately we do get paralyzed. And although Lucario is an incredible Pokemon, we're now risking missing moves and we're going to be slower than all the rest of his Pokemon. I decide the best switch in is Bird's Eye, as obviously it's a water type and they're all fire type. And with that, we're able to get rid of the Rapidash. We then, however, have the Infernape. Now, this thing is strong, and I know a Thunder Punch is coming, so I switch into Bugs, who can hit a Strength. However, he knocked us incredibly low, so I have no choice but to switch out. I expected a Flare Blitz, so I switch into Gyarados, and it was a good decision, as he manages to take out because he's faster. Now we have Steelix, who's incredibly defensive, so I opt to spam a few Leers to lower it. He screeches me to do the same, and I didn't want to risk staying in here, so I switch into Blissey, and Blissey can lower its attack with Charm. Once its attack's fully lowered, we put it to sleep. Unfortunately, as always is the case, the very next turn, he wakes up, and I switch into Weavile. He takes a Fire Fang incredibly well, so I opt to set up some Swords Dance. However, the second Fire Fang is a crit. Yep, that attack lowering, all gone. That means we've lost our Weavile before we've even really had a chance to use him. This means my only option now is to switch into Lucario and set up to take him out. Although we got some pretty shocking paras, more than 30%, that's for sure. We get through him and he then sends out his Drifblim. Because of our foresight, we can hit the Drifblim, but he must have expected this as he switched into Lopunny. Now, Lopunny will definitely one-shot the Lucario from the health he's on now. I opt to switch into Gyarados to lower the attack and take out with some strengths. All that's left now is the Drifblim. Gyarados cannot touch it, so I switch into Blissey, who funnily enough, the Drifblim can barely touch. I then opt to stall out his ominous winds, and then I go for a Sing. I then switch into my Giraffage and I double team until he gets burnt, and that means I can Baton Pass into Bugs. Thanks to the double teams that were Baton Passed onto him, he can dodge the Will-O-Wisps, and he does manage to take him out using Foresight and a few strengths. Unfortunately though, this comes at a cost. Drifblim's ability means that whoever I had in is going to take some pretty serious damage once they take him out, and unfortunately, I only had Lucario and Lopunny to take him out with. I know either one of these would have been low by the time they actually managed to take him out, so I opt to sack the Lopunny instead of my Lucario, as obviously it's a much better Pokemon. Had we not been parried at the beginning, like, this would have not played out this way, and honestly, I think we'd have had all of our Pokemon left, but unfortunately, that's just what happens in these. Maybe I should have seen it and equipped a berry beforehand to counteract that, but you can't always read everything. With our two fallen comrades holding our head down, I go into the Lucian fight. Now, I begin trying to sing, forgetting about the soundproof ability that Mr. Mime has, meaning sing isn't going to work, so I figure let's just switch into Giraffig. However, it turns out this isn't a brilliant play, as guess what it gets hit with? Thunderbolt, and it paralyzes it. And it gets stuck in para, so I get one double team off before being able to Baton Pass into Foxy Bingo. Thankfully though, once that is out there, there isn't too much to worry about, as there is a massive issue with Psychic type Pokemon, being that the majority of them have incredibly weak defense. The only one that we had to worry about was the Steel typing on Bronzor. We did use an Extreme Speed against it, which was maybe a bad play, but we were PP managing at that point, so I kind of forgive myself for doing it. And either way, we get through all of his Pokemon, and we get the victory as a result. Now, we have the champion battle. Can we get redemption, or will we fall at the last hurdle yet again? Let's find out. I begin with Blissey, and the objective is to try get Spiritomb to sleep, and we do manage to do it on the third turn we use it. After this, Giraffage comes out, but as usual, our first turn wake up. I then understand this strategy isn't going to play out, so I opt to go another route. I take advantage of Scrambled's incredible special defense in HP and soft-boiled to spam him out of PP until I cannot heal any further. Once we're out of heals, I get Sing off and switch into Fadaze to double team. However, these seem to not be working as he hits all his psychics. This means I need to do an early Baton Pass. I've not actually got all my double teams off at this point. Lucario comes in and sets up, but is super low by the time it can actually hit an attack. Obviously, it's boosted so it makes quick work of all her Pokemon until we reach Garchomp. Now, I have a slight fear it may be faster than us, so I make the mistake of going for extreme speed. It's not enough. He then gets to hit us. Thankfully, though, we're not reenacting the Platinum run as them double teams paid off and he misses. This means I can go for a return, and it turns out I was incorrect. I'm faster, meaning I hit him first and take it out. Then she only has 2 Pokemon left, neither of which resist normal, so we return the favour to her from the last run and get victory. Sweet, sweet victory. After the bad luck I had in this run, I'm bloody glad we got a touch of good luck at the end, and it gave us the victory as a result. Well, run over, we beat it. Please do let me know your opinion on both the video and type of challenge in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. It does massively help me and it helps me grow a lot on this channel. Speaking of growth, if you want to see more of my content, be sure to subscribe and I'll keep smashing videos out for as long as you guys will watch them. I really do appreciate the time you've all taken to watch this. I hope you have a great day and goodbye.